Okay, my actual real name is Kay Harvey. I also answer to Mom or Nana, all those fun things. But if you've ever been around us at work, I never hear the name Kay. I never hear Nana. I never hear Mom. All I hear is Tree Lady. I go to the grocery store, Tree Lady. I go here, Tree Lady, Tree Lady, Tree Lady. It was so bad, that's how I got my nursery name. I helped in environmental education, helping youngsters learn about planting trees and planting everything we could do, you know, the little cabbages in the cups in the school and all that kind of fun stuff. So I'd go to the grocery store and they go, "Hey, mommy, look, 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 there's the Tree Lady." So it just sort of stuck with me, and I'm proud to have it. We've been in business 26 years in Neshoba County, and I have met 100 million wonderful people. Just to show you how wonderful they are, we have decided that people that dig in the dirt are good folks. We've only had 3 bounce checks in 26 years. Yeah, we're good folks. So give y'all a hand. Yay, we're good folks. I'd like to help you today expand your planting into the fruit area. Now, I'm a Yankee, true and blue. I grew up eating fruit. We didn't have cakes and pastries and all that wonderful stuff from the South. We had fruit-based desserts. So I'm one of these that's going to snatch a blueberry, I'm going to snatch a blackberry, whatever I've got. Have any of y'all considered expanding into fruit? Good. I find that a lot of people are afraid to. They're afraid it's going to be expensive. They're afraid they don't know how to handle it. Another thing, they don't know if they have time to do it. Because, you know, we have our season. At the nursery, we call it greenhouse season, floor season, sales season, and it moves on. Everything has a season. Fruit is really fun if you'll research it first. Find what fruit you need, what fruit you can grow in your soil, and what fruit is going to ripen or have maintenance when you have time to do so. So let's just start out with the basics. Soil for fruit. There are very few fruits that like wet feet. If you plant an apple tree in a boggy, wet area, within 3 years it's just going to fall over, the roots are rotten. Don't do it. I tell everybody, find your hole and then find your tree. The soil needs to be pretty neutral, neither acid or sweet, either one. And the timing of your planting is usually this time of year, like strawberries, okay? So you've got time this time of year. This time of year you're not hurrying unless you've got 9 gazillion collards. So expand where you can with the soil that allows you. Not wet feet, full sun, well-drained soil. Now that gets a little touchy when you're talking about blueberries, because blueberries want to have a little bit of consistent moisture. So don't think that well-drained means dry as a brick bat, okay? Or hard as a brick bat. If you have to, raise those blueberries up a little bit. Give them a little better soil. Raise the bed up, mulch them good with pine straw, maybe put a soaker hose out there until they get well established. So fruit trees, fruit plants usually come in several different ways. Bare root, containerized is probably the best that you know of. Bare root is less expensive, but it's something you have to take care of as soon as you get your plant material. You can't just lay them out in the yard and after a week go plant them. Pretty much have everything ready to go when you get the bare root. Containerized, you see them all the time. Lowe's, Walmart, Tree Lady is everywhere you see containerized. It's all in what you're comfortable with to get started. When I first got started planting fruit, I was buying containerized because I felt like it's going to take care of itself for a little while until I get the hang of this. Well, I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I've just grown up with it. And now I'm to the point where, oh, that limb is broken, let me prune it. Okay, let me go root it. Okay, I'll plant it later. You know, it's really, really easy. It's not rocket science. If you are going to buy bare root or containerized, remember one thing, quality trumps price. You can buy anything cheap and think, oh, I'll baby it, it'll do fine. Go for quality right off the top. Make a relationship with whoever you're buying from. Tell them what you have, what you want. Have them double check to make sure, are you going at this the right way? Spacing, space them out. So, submit a soil sample to Mississippi State. Pre-dig your holes if you need to, checking on drainage. Space everything out for maturity. And then consider, am I going to mow around this, or am I going to let it grow up, or are we going to put the bush hog in here? That has a lot to do with where and how you plant. And then the deer. Yes, you're going to have deer, but you can wrap your trees and protect them. You can do anything you have to. Deer are everywhere. So starting on the fruit, let's go with blueberries. That should be on about the middle of your first page. Blueberries around here, rabbit eye. So go with Climax, Stiff Blue, Powder Blue, Premier. Go with all of those. Keep them pruned back in July to where you can reach them. You don't want to be on a ladder picking blueberries. And a lot of times you'll see the commercial growers grow them in a long hedgerow. I can't stand that because I feel like I'm losing berries. You know, those two sides that grow into those two aren't producing berries, just this side and this side. So I'm going to space them out a little bit so I can get all the way around and keep them healthy. Also, blueberries are the best place to hold staff meetings. Oh, I'm telling you, everybody will show up if blueberries are right. And I'll get around and have the best meetings. Blueberries, like I said, require consistent moisture, so double check that soil and make sure you have plenty of water. The new blackberry thornless varieties that are out are fantastic. Daphne got some this past year and is going to have her first crop.
Okay.
There are some that come in early. We're going to say March and April, and they're okay. I prefer the April, May, and June varieties. And for me, that's perfect because when it comes July, this Yankee prefers to be in the office working. I go out to the garden first thing in the morning and last thing at night, and I would prefer to spend most of my time doing my paperwork planning for next year. So in the blackberries, they're thornless, they're easy to grow, they require very little maintenance. They tell you when it's time to trim, you don't tell them. Here's why. The stems come up and they produce fruit. And they're ready to die off is after they've produced fruit. So they die off and they're brown. You go, oh, I've lost my blackberries. No, because here come the new ones off the root. So you trim off the brown ones in the spring and let the new ones take off and go. All you need for them is a simple little support to keep them off the ground so you're not weed eating and mowing them. They just come straight up. I stand there and I pick like this. I never have to bend over. I never have to jump up. Super simple, easy. Blackberries that come off my Choctaw variety are as big as my thumb, probably about that big, and sweet as can be. They freeze nicely. They're wonderful to use as garnishes when they're frozen because they're beautiful. I also drop them in my beverage of choice as a frozen instead of an ice cube. I mean, you gotta get your fruit, right? Okay. All right, after blackberries are strawberries. Yummy. Who doesn't like strawberries? I put in my first ones in a row I thought I could manage. It was 4 foot by 82 feet, and I put in 450 plants. I was picking 2 gallons of strawberries a day the first season, and they were still only this big around plants. So spacing is important, people. These things are going to grow. Remember, they put off runners. And before you know it, you've got runners going everywhere. So space them out. Rotate the old one out every 3 years. Raised bed works wonderful. There's Chandler and Cardinal are my 2 favorites. Tons of berries out there. But read, as Beverly said. Find one that's conducive to your area. Chandler and Cardinal are my favorites because of that. Don't get everbearing. You'll be out there every day picking 10 instead of out there every day picking, well, for a month. They usually come in May. So in May, you're out there picking quite often. Then let's go to muscadines. Everybody know what a muscadine is? No. We were so surprised how many people didn't know what muscadines are. The younger kids don't know. Us oldies, we went out in the woods and pulled on the vine and got them down. Well, later I learned that's because the fruit comes on the new wood and the new wood only. So the more that vine grew, the more the fruit got further away. Muscadines are easy to grow. They're fairly maintenance free. There's a huge market for them. and they make the best jelly in the world. There's several varieties. There's both the blue ones and the gold ones. In the South, we traditionally call the blue ones muscadines and the gold ones stubbornoms. They're all muscadines, okay? So the only thing I'm going to advise you about muscadines is have your trellis, if you want to call it, your supporter, made for you. Not the way you see them in a book, not with a cattle panel, where you got to pick like this. And when it comes time to prune them, you can't get in there and prune them. Build it for you. Here's why I say that. My husband's 6 foot. My son is 6'8". My 6'8" and my 6-footer can't pick muscadines together because the 6'8" only picks the top row and the 6-footer picks this one. Well, generally it's me that's picking. So I said, okay, you all come help when you can. First row, my wire is right here because the grapes are going to be just a hair lower. So it's comfortable for me to pick. My top wire is right here. Why? I'm not picking like this. I picked 144 gallons of muscadines this summer and left several in the vines. I'm not going to pick above my head. Make your support wire fit you. Once they're established, there's nothing to them. Once a year, a little bit of fertilizer, a very low nitrogen fertilizer. Once a year, you trim. Simple to grow. All right, let's go on to the actual trees. Standard, semi-dwarf, and dwarf trees. Go at least semi-dwarf. If you want to go dwarf, go ahead, but remember your tree's going to be a lot smaller, your production's going to be a lot smaller. So go semi-dwarf. Yes, we can grow apples here, but we have to grow the apples that are for our season. So you can look at Pink Lady, Granny Smith, Yellow Delicious, Fuji, Gala, all of those. They're going to work for us if you've got the right soil. Spraying apple trees is minimal. Not like a peach that you have to be married to. Usually on your spraying of all your fruit trees, you spray. Once you have a hint of a bud, you see that little pinky deal, you spray. Once the buds are wide open, you spray. Once the petals drop, you spray. Then thereafter, it's just maintenance. What that does is it takes care of the invasive critters that are trying to lay their eggs on the bloom, so that when you bite that peach and you get half a worm, that egg was laid during the bloom season and the peach grew around it. Okay? So peaches is a lot of spraying. They sure are good, but a lot of spraying. Apples are not. On the apples, also remember the actual fruiting crab apples, which is a wonderful pollinator. Plums. How many of y'all remember picking plums along the roadside? The little bitty, tiny little Chickasaw plum. They're coming back. I know they are, because last year we sold 350 of them. Somebody's got some plums growing somewhere, I hope. Now those are the wild ones that grow up into just, that come out of the roots and they're just making like a mass picking, and they're wonderful treats. But if you want true plums, the ones that I find work really well here are Santa Rosa and Methley. Now, there's also the Auburn, and I hate it, I'm a Mississippi State graduate, but I have to say Auburn did a good job on the AU Rosa, the AU producer. Those plums do really well here. Plums are much easier to grow than peaches, even though they're a pit fruit, because they're a shorter season. So I would consider starting with a plum before I started a peach. Pears. Pears are a huge tree. No pruning, because if you prune them, you just get 6 more back out where you just cut one. Make a huge tree. So don't let them shadow your other trees. Make sure they're on the side where the sun doesn't block the sun from your other trees. In a family, 1 pear is enough. 1 pear tree. If you are producing for your neighbors and all, go 3. If you want to feed Mississippi, plant 5. Okay? They are very heavy producers. I will tell you, the more fruit you get, though, if you have 2 different varieties. But 1 tree should be enough. I have 4 favorites. Orient, pineapple, kefir. I just went backwards. Now I can't do it. Pineapple, kefir, Orient, moonglow. There we go. Okay? A lot of these are not going to be, well, none of them. None of them are the old hard sand pears that were this big and Grandma put them on the counter and left them for a month before you could eat them. These are ready to go. Some of them are really good for canning, some are better for fresh eating. But they're going to taste, and I can't say like, they're going to taste 6 times better than those you eat in the grocery store. Really, really good. The weird fruit, mulberries. You know the song about the mulberry tree? They really are good. They really are good. And they've got so many nutrients in them. I would suggest a mulberry tree. Mulberries, you can keep the tree low so that you can pick, or you can keep it really low and let it come up from the roots and have a bush. The native red mulberries do wonderful here, but if you want to get some of the hybrids, go ahead. Elderberries. Really big medicinal push on elderberries lately. One of my best friends, Mr. Dwayne Hamrick, has a fantastic elderberry program going on at his place. There are a lot of native, there's a lot of hybrids, and each has its own peculiarities. There's even one that's ever-bearing, which is really fantastic. Elderberries are also made into jams and jellies, and like I said, they have huge medicinal qualities. Then we're moving on to figs. Oh, I never knew a fig up north. But when I moved south, I knew why I moved south. And my husband loves it because I make strawberry fig preserves with real strawberries and real figs, not the jello. The real strawberries are real figs. I put it in my blender, and he uses it to baste and marinate and cook his chicken on the grill. Talk about fall off the bone and good. Oh, it's wonderful. So figs, Celeste, brown turkey, LSU purple is borderline for me, but any of those are good. They produce a large crop. I would suggest you put one in quickly because it takes about 3 years before you start getting a good mess of it. Everybody's in that boat right now because we all lost our fig trees in the freeze, 2 years ago? And mine had the first fruit on it this year, and there was 2 of them. I go, oh boy, I want one for hubby. Well, it didn't work that way. The deer got there first.
Aww.
But oh well, okay? All right, then, let's see. Raspberries. Daphne and I talk about this all the time. I'm a Yankee. I grew up in the raspberry patch. Matter of fact, I had to go back and pick it several times, and I just hated it. Oh, they're so good. She's got wonderful raspberries at her house. I struggle to have raspberries at my house, and we're 12 miles away? It's not fair. It's not fair. But read up on raspberries. They want consistent moisture, but not wet moisture. They may want a little break from our west sun. It is intense. There's some new varieties out. I'm going to try Caroline. It looked really good getting it from my friend that grows them, so I'm going to hope that I can keep it going as well. Raspberries are very nutritional. If you're like me trying this low-carb diet, they're an excellent fruit for low carb. All right, then, Japanese persimmons. Have you seen them? They look like little pumpkins hanging on trees.
Yes, actually, I have seen that.
Yeah, Japanese persimmons. I like the Fuyu variety, F-U-Y-U, because it's not astringent. You know, out in the woods, you get those little orange ones that if they're not completely ripe and you pop them in your mouth, you know right quick it wasn't ripe. The Fuyu you can eat just like an apple if you want. They grow easily, they grow quickly, they make a big crop, and they're very delicious. Then let's go to the nuts. We need to add some protein somewhere. So pecans, hazelnuts. Hazelnuts grow in the wild in Mississippi. We just don't know what they are. Go look for them. If you've got a place, go look for them. I'm sure you've got hazelnuts somewhere. If not, plant some. Very big crop. They're easy to harvest. You don't have to shake the tree. You don't have to do all that. It's just a shrub. And walk around and pick them. High in protein and has really good oils for you. Pecans take a little bit longer, but they're worth it. There's a lot of them that have been hybridized to work for our clay soils in central Mississippi. One in particular is called Jackson, but it does have to have a pollinator. Okay? And my Jackson is producing. Not like I want it to, but it's producing, and that's my fault. I put it in the wrong place. Site selection is #1 key to all fruit production, okay? I just rattled through that. I mean, rattled through it. Are there any questions?
For the pecan tree, what would be the best location to plant those?
For the what?
Pecan tree.
Pecan tree? Pecan tree needs to have really well-drained soil. A lot of people have a sandy loam that they put it in. Full sun and a lot of room to grow. I know a lot of guys start out with a close spacing because they figure they're going to lose some, and then they end up taking some out. I put at least 60 feet between mine.
Small pecan, middle size, and bigger.
Any of them you can
Any
grow.
of them?
Any of them you can grow.
Okay.
The paper shells are good, but some of the ones like Kiowa, which is a smaller nut, actually I think is sweeter and easier to shell. I mean, you got to crack it good, but
Right,
once
right,
you do, it comes out better.
I could be wrong, but I think the smaller ones oftentimes have a little sweeter flavor.
And you know, the native pecans that are out in the woods everywhere, man, they are so good, but a pain.
You don't get enough of them. It's just too tight to do. I mean, the big ones, like on the campus, like on the campus at Alcorn State University, we have like 3 or 4 trees, and there's some that bloom better, but I like the one more or less the middle size. And then over by the dining hall last year, they were great. For some reason, this year's big ones, when you cracked them, they were too dry. They were bad. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened.
well, it's been a crazy year. You know, we had all that rain, and then it stopped, and that's when the nuts were maturing.
Right.
And I'm also finding that a lot of the pecan growers have died off, and the younger people aren't taking over, but they still want the pecans off Grandpa's trees. Well, you don't tend to them like Grandpa did.
Yeah.
So the fertilization, the liming, and a little bit of calcium nitrate now and then to help the nut produce.
With your experiences in like the nursery and getting people those plants established, is there anything you do like as you're planting to help prevent pests like longer term? I know you mentioned the drier areas for planting and maybe more spacing, but is there any like nematodes that you add or like compost or mulching?
But I'm always going to add our compost,
Yeah.
no matter what we plant. We're going to add our compost in. If I have to add something to help with drainage, I'm going to go with that. First, I look at the drainage, and then I look at the tree and what it's producing as to how much compost I put in it. But right now, from the very beginning, all I'm thinking about is sustaining the growth, getting it to go, and then I can baby it more later, add more to it, top dressing or whatever. I have had to stay on people. Potting soil is for pots, ceramic, plastic, wood, whatever. It's not for a hole in the... So, I mean, if you have to use topsoil, use topsoil, but not potting soil. I tell people that in our area with clay, when you're digging a hole and it's all slick and shiny and all, and it's just a clay basin, it's the bathtub, and you forgot to put the drain in it so the water can go out. So then if you put potting soil in that bathtub, the peat moss in your potting soil becomes the sponge in the bathtub, so you're going to kill everything twice as fast. Drainage, even if you have to dig to chine, drainage. Okay? Anything else?
Are you on Facebook?
Yes, ma'am. Tree Lady's Nursery.
Okay.
Tree Lady Nursery.
It's on the bottom of the handout. My phone number and my email. I would prefer email than text, but text. And then there's Facebook.
Have you gotten to play with pawpaws yet?
Say what?
Have you gotten to play much with pawpaws?
Yes, we're doing. I have a different philosophy than a lot of growers and markets. I don't sell anything unless I know it's going to grow here.
Fair.
So our pawpaws are in their second year of production, and we're hoping that this coming year, I have a bunch of them for sale, but I'm telling people, I'm trying them. As well as a couple cherries that are supposed to do well here. I'm trying them. We'll see. They say they'll grow in zone 8, but you know, zone 8 has a lot of peculiarities.
Yes, yeah.
And zones don't mean anything if you've got rock, where this one has sandy loam. So the numbers don't really necessarily mean anything. It's the soil.
And that's like where they want. Like they like it on the edge of the forest versus, you know.
It's just understanding the tree.
Yeah, yeah. And you got it.
Okay?